Hello everyone, my name is Loko, and today it is time for a professional match of StarCraft 2, and apparently, right at the very beginning of the game, our Protoss player here decided to get a little bit cheeky. He's already sending out a probe to watch what seems to be the other side of the map. Spawning here in the bottom right-hand corner of Thunderbird and playing with those beautiful blue classic probes. We're looking inside of the main base of PartinG. I do still like those skins. I wonder why not more people play with them. Where's he gonna put that proxy? Okay, it's gonna be right outside of those side blockers, right outside of the main base right here of the Terran player. Speaking of which, in the top left-hand corner, apparently joined by Samwise on the command center. Likewise, actually, also playing with the classic SCV skins. We're looking inside of the main base of GuMiho, the Towel Terran. Now, PartinG, of course, very well known for his hyper-aggressive stuff. And apparently this game is not gonna be any different. He was very well known back in the day for like his 2-base timing attacks, especially against Zerg. He would execute them all the time. And, well, I mean, he won a lot of money doing exactly that. Nowadays, he's once again back. He's been playing professionally again for quite some time, qualifying for the GSO Code S and whatnot. And apparently, I just learned this by checking out his Wikipedia page. Apparently, there is an award at the GSO Code S for making 10 consecutive round of 16 appearances called the PartinG Award. And apparently, PartinG is the only one that's ever actually gotten it. Pretty cool, right? I had no idea. Anyways. We'll see how GuMiho is going to respond to this, though, because he absolutely has no clue what's going on. Already going for a command center on the low ground. There will be that barracks, obviously, so he's going to be able to start producing something. But without a bunker, I've got a feeling that this first Zealot can certainly be a little bit of a nuisance. PartinG also actually denying a lot of mining time here. Finally, that Marine comes out, but that's already, you know, a couple of dozen resources lost right there by GuMiho. It doesn't really seem to matter too much, but it's one of those things that adds up very quickly over time. There we go. Ooh, it's that new classic Zealot skin as well. Look at that thing. So sick. Well, it takes one hit as well. We do see the bunker coming up immediately, so quick response there by GuMiho. At the very least, I think that's a response to seeing this Zealot. A couple of SCVs immediately are pulled. And look at this, man. This looks like a StarCraft 1 battle. Martin running for his life, joined right now by John, who's also going to take at least some slices, but good micro so far, and that Zealot will certainly go down. Second Zealot, though, is going to join the fray as well. That probe still being annoying, too. This really does feel like a StarCraft 1 opener right here in a lot of ways. Remember how pesky probes could be? So annoying. Or can be, I suppose, because still a lot of people do play StarCraft 1. Eventually, though, the bunker does finish up, and obviously that's going to make it much, much easier here for GuMiho to defend. Good positioning there as well. No way for that Stalker to, like, sneak underneath. And well, apparently his banner right now on the command center is working, unlike the one inside of the main base. GuMiho should be okay. So how much actually was killed there? 2 workers were killed in total, and 1 Zealot. You know what? That's a pretty good trade, all things considered. Pretty sick. This is such a typical PartinG opener, though. He loves opening up like this. He does a lot of live streaming, actually, nowadays as well on Twitch. It's one of those acquired taste live streams. I mean, there's the charm of the clipping microphone where it's set far too sensitive, so he's just, you know, every once in a while screaming when his opponent doesn't GG. But, you know, all kidding aside, like, he makes a great show on Twitch, and there's no denying that he's one of the best Protoss players, right? So it's one of those things that is certainly worth having a look at if you enjoy watching this kind of playstyle. Now, GuMiho is known for his creativity and for his variety in Terran build orders, right? Especially in the Terran versus Zerg matchup. A lot of the top-tier Terran players, they are, how do you say that? Like, they're a little stiff, maybe a little rigid when it comes to their executions and their build orders. GuMiho is different in that sense. He does a lot of builds that he thinks are really good, and he does builds that other top-level Terran players don't do. I mean, he's the rank 15 in the world. Yeah, there's a couple of other Terran players that are a little bit higher statistically right now, but there's no denying he's amongst the very best. And, you know, he mixes it up. Like, he was the one that was already playing mech far before it became cool. He used to actually play mech as well for a little while in the Terran versus Protoss matchup, but I think, yeah, judging by the fact that he's already got additional barracks coming up, that's not going to be the case here. But, you know, he always mixes up the strategies, and apparently, because of that, a lot of the opponents don't really enjoy playing against him very much. I remember a GSL versus the World interview. I think it was Raynor that said he doesn't like playing against GuMiho because he doesn't play like the other Terran players do, so he's really hard to play against because you can kind of just expect anything. And he obviously does so at a very high level, so... Anyways. The Marines trying to see if they can get some kills. Not gonna happen. Even the Zealot runs away. This is actually the first time I see that classic Zealot skin that's new in the game. I didn't realize it runs out with its, like, side blade out. Just like, you know, in the front. It's pretty cool. It runs like a Power Ranger. That's how I used to run when I was a kid, okay? I swore I would go faster on the playground. Don't tell me I was the only one. Was this scouted, by the way? Yeah, okay. So there is an hallucinated Phoenix right now inside of the main base. Banshee will be spotted, so that's really critical. There is the cloaking field upgrade coming up too, but this will give PartinG enough time to prepare. There's immediately the chrono boost right there, or, well, not even a chrono boost. It's just gonna immediately produce a couple of those observers, going double forge as a follow-up. What a cool style. Really, really nice. So he's already got the blink upgrade done as well, so that means he can obviously be a little bit annoying. Not going to be able to get much done here with that bunker, and then of course also that siege tank on the high ground. But really do like this opener here from PartinG. So he opens up hyper aggressively, then expands extremely quickly and goes double forge. This is difficult as well for the Terran player to counter. Now it looks like that Banshee will indeed be picked off, and it's going to fall down into the Thunderbird low ground. Whatever's going on over there, okay? Looks like there's some terrazine about to explode through the surface of the planet. Anyways, even though the Stimpack upgrade is now quite a bit shorter in duration, it used to be 121 seconds right now. Very recently, they reduced it to 100 seconds. It was meant primarily to allow Terran players to put on a little bit more pressure when it comes to Protosses that decide to go for greedy third bases. I think it's not going to happen in this particular game. Now he does get finally a couple of kills, actually pretty critical. I mean, if you don't get any kills here in the early game against a Protoss that's playing this greedy, you're gonna obviously be in a really bad spot. Losing a sentry here would be a disaster. He's not gonna commit. Doesn't know where the observer is. Well, doesn't matter. Maybe should have committed, huh? As indeed, the second Banshee also gets picked off. GuMiho, though, he's had enough. He doesn't want to deal with, like, quick warp-ins right outside of his front door. Nicely done. Looks like these Stalkers indeed will be picked off, and even though there's a couple more Stalkers trying to make their way across, it's not going to happen. Safe siege up right there by GuMiho. I actually like that. He knows that there may very well be a jump on him very, very soon. So he's like, you know what? I could kill that while not being sieged. I'll just not take the risks. Martin, no! Martin apparently serving as an observer right there. Oh, he's got to be careful. Ooh, good blink back. One siege tank does get picked off. But GuMiho should be able to hold on. PartinG, though, always hunting, right? Always sharking around the map. Another siege tank taking critical damage. Third siege tank right now also gets picked off, and I think most Protoss players are with me on this one. Trading a couple of Stalkers for a couple of siege tanks, that's the dream. That's the dream, and that's exactly what you want. Because right now, I mean, there's only 2 siege tanks at this point in the game, and obviously this allows Protoss to just get further and further ahead. So I like his position here, but we can't certainly count out GuMiho. I mean, he's got that third command center secured right now, and this is usually the moment where Terran players start exploding when it comes to that supply count. Additional barracks here already being added on. Apparently GuMiho doesn't want to get aggressive. Actually, you know what? Oh my god, that was beautiful. Did you see that? I mean, I followed it on the minimap a little bit. Apparently, he decided to see if he could trap those Stalkers, trapping them by loading up a couple of the Marines and Marauders inside of those medevacts, and then intercepting their retreat path. Well, most of the Stalkers actually do manage to get away. I think it was about 7 or so in total, and apparently they will get recalled. But nice attempt there by GuMiho. Lifting only part of the army up, recognizing the retreat path, and then immediately blindsiding his opponent. A couple of force fields, though. Will apparently have to... We'll pick up a couple of those Marines, a few Marauders as well. Good observer positioning right there as well, actually, by GuMiho, or by PartinG, who's not going to be able to easily get all of these units picked up. Apparently, there's one siege tank in there as well. A couple of Marines, apparently, caught at a bit of a weird angle. They might get, well, there's no charge yet? Oh my god, he doesn't have charge! Yo, why doesn't he have charge? He should start it up as soon as possible. Instead, he just had to go for the Templar Archives. Does he not want charge right now? Alright, well, he definitely knows better than I do, but... feels like if you're going to commit to this many Zealots, getting charge seems like a no-brainer. Does get the quick upgrades once again, but without charge, what are you going to do? Okay, I think this is a mistake. I don't think he means to not have charge at this point in the game. We'll see if he realizes that in just a little bit. I mean, I assumed he would notice when he attack moved to watch those Marines over there, but... yeah, there we go. Charge finally starts up. There's no way that wasn't meant to be done already. He probably... yeah, you know what? He's actually going to go all the way back home. That's rough. I think he wanted to hit a timing attack right here at 2-2. Which is going to finish up right now. And then he realized, wait a second, I don't have charge. So he's going to make the walk of shame all the way back home. That's rough, man. That's actually really rough. I mean, to be fair, right? It's going to be a little bit of medevac harass, but to be fair, like... Are you really going to be able to get much done here? Are you going to be able to break a full Terran wall over it here with siege tanks, marines, marauders behind it and whatnot? Likely not, but it's always worth trying, right? And maybe you can at least blink over some units and hit at several different angles at once and just try and be a nuisance. By the way, I just want to point out the observer meta of the game real quick. So you saw he was scanning like right here on the high ground. He assumed that the observer would be over here. Obviously, technically on paper, that observer placement right over there is better. However, since everyone already scans right there, right, just because GuMiho knows there's very likely to be an observer, a lot of Protoss players decide to put their observer out here. Now, when it's stationary, it's very difficult to see. So GuMiho was forced to basically use 2 scans right there just in case there was an observer. Oh, that's a lot of marauders though, and they are without their friends. I mean, they get to run away right now as they use their combat drugs. Finally, Zealots are charging forward, but these easily get picked off. Now, there is Psionic Storm available right now on these High Templars, so very, very critical. 4th base has also been acquired here by PartinG, and he's going to set up a couple of defensive photon cannons just in case he has to deal with this. And we do see a couple of Zealot Warpins actually inside of that main base as well. Nicely done there by the South Korean Protoss player, as he does once again drop off the Zealots on the way out. They get sacrificed for ire. War Prism will be recalled. He could have just recalled the Zealots there as well, I guess, but 10 SCVs in total do sacrifice their life for the Terran Dominion. At this point, though, worker harass, yeah, it's nice. Not that critical. I mean, you can remake those workers very easily, and, I mean, if you have more than 60 workers as it is, it's going to be a pretty comfortable game. Once again, though, the ghost hunting, right? If they get an EMP right there on that War Prism, or rather on the High Templar that are inside of that War Prism, there's a lot of potential. Obviously, they can still kill some of those shields on those Stalkers as well. I would love to see the new Terran upgrade. There's a new Terran upgrade that allows the EMP to be a little bit larger in radius. And service, obviously, then as well. Dark Shrine coming up right now as well for PartinG. He's going to try and see if he can shark around the other side once again. Picks up a medevac, gets out. Does he want to commit? I don't think he can commit here. Unless you get some phenomenal storms. Well, he's going to try. Well, good storms do land already on some of that bio army, but the majority, though, yeah, the majority of that Terran army is just going to sit nice and tight where it is. And apparently PartinG, you know what? He doesn't let go of pressure, does he? I think a lot of Protoss players right now would try and see if they can go back. Gotta be careful, though. GuMiho actually unsieges right now. Very close. Very close. Once again, scanning for the observer. He does see the observer right there, but very difficult to spot. Planetary Fortress right now coming up on the low ground as well. A couple of siege tanks once again siege up, and PartinG, man. Always looking for the angle, right? Always looking. Always looking. Never overcommitting. Well, sometimes he does, actually. But always trying to at least not overcommit, and always trying to catch Terran right when they are at their weakest. Double Colossus as a switch right now as well, by the way. So those laser giraffes are going to be joining the fray in just a little bit. At this point, this Terran army, yeah, there's a little bit of anti-air in those Liberators. But Colossi are certainly going to be a pretty good option. We do now also see a fleet, or rather not a fleet beacon, a fusion core coming up here for the Terran player. Oh, nice blink forward, getting a couple of siege tanks once again. How many siege tanks have we seen go down? 6. It's a lot of siege tanks. And you know what? This is actually a bit of a strange spot, because while he's trying to out-angle the Terran player, the Terran's like, you know what? If you're trying to be fancy, I'll just move across the map with the majority of my army. Planetary Fortress taking a lot of damage. It will go down with these Immortals in the back. Obviously, very helpful. Mass recall now being utilized as well. But the Colossi get caught off guard as there's no support for them whatsoever. A couple of Zealots desperately get warped in as well, but that is not the fight that this Protoss player was looking for. High Templar still inside of those prisms, trying to see if they can land some juicy storms, and there we go. Good storms do land. We see the Ghosts getting picked off, though, and while the Terran now has taken control of the high ground of that Protoss base, the Warpins obviously can come from every single angle. Another Colossus does spawn over here. Extended Thermal Lance does get denied as well, and with that, the Colossus gets picked off, too. It's all of a sudden a disaster for PartinG, who was desperately trying to out-angle the Terran player, and GuMiho was like, you know what, if you're gonna get fancy, I'll just attack move across the map, see what you do. I mean, yeah, you get my Planetary Fortress, whoop-de-doo, I'll just get 2 of your bases. So eventually, PartinG does manage to hold on. But at what cost? How many workers were going down here? 20 versus 14 so far, so pretty even in that regard. The thing is, it kind of feels like PartinG's army is a lot more like timing attack oriented, and it's a lot more punishing to make mistakes with, right? So basically, if you're going up in a maxed out battle and the majority of your army is going to be Stalkers, Zealots, and maybe a couple of Immortals, it's going to be extremely difficult to beat a maxed out Terran army. It kind of feels like this Protoss army right here, it specializes in picking off Terran armies that are small as well. So I think if GuMiho manages to max out, he's going to be in a phenomenal spot. Now, once again, holding his ground, trying to kite back towards the safety of those liberation zones. Command center is likely going to morph into a planetary fortress here in just a little bit. Additional High Templar now do get warped in, and I wouldn't mind seeing a couple of Colossi once again. Yeah, there's one that's still available, but obviously that robotics bay needs to be recreated. And without the extended thermal lens upgrade, Colossi are not nearly as good. Good scan right there. GuMiho gets rid of that vision. He realizes that his opponent knew a little bit too much. And he does manage to get rid of that observer. Really critical. Couple of Marines and a Marauder do get loaded up into a Medivac as well, so they're probably going to try and see if they can do some counterattack aggression. PartinG always out on the map, right? Always out on the map, trying to see if there's any units that he can easily pick up. Leaving just enough army at home as well to defend against this kind of thing, although, yeah, there we go. Not warping in is also an option. A couple of Stalkers are going to be available. They will shoot that Medivac out of the sky. Goodbye. Even a High Templar came over for EMPs, or not for EMPs, but for feedbacks. I mean, the Medivac's already gone. And just like that, those Marines get cleaned up as well. Once again, though, those High Templar, they're sitting inside of their plane, their private jet, their shuttle, their warp prism. They can't be EMP'd while they're in there. But obviously, they're much more vulnerable, because one shot of a bunch of Vikings right on top of that prism, that's going to be game over. Now, speaking of Vikings, I mean, yeah, we see extended range right there, because of that fusion core allotment, advanced ballistics for those Liberators. I don't really know if you want that right now. Or if you want to rather... Well, obviously the upgrade is great if you have a bunch of Liberators, but I wonder if you don't want to go Vikings as well at this point. Once again, we see extended thermal lens coming up here for PartinG. He's going to try and see if he can pick up a couple of those Liberators. Man, that's a lot of damage, though. Once again, those Marines and Marauders do not mess around. The base right here on the left-hand side gets acquired as well. Immediately scouted by the Dark Templar. GuMiho trying to see if he can just win this one with solid, straight-up macro, right? Sometimes he gets creative, sometimes he mixes it up. Not in this case, though. Not in this case. This is just solid, straightforward play by GuMiho, slowly advancing out on the map and trying to see if he can obtain the maxed-out army. It's like, yo, if you want to go for the fancy plays, that's cool, but I'll just play solid and safe and see how it goes for you. 5 Marines, 5 Marauders coming out at a time right now. This Terran army is just about to be maxed out. The Ghosts are available. They're trying to land EMPs right there. Most of the High Templar are actually out of energy. I mean, that's the final storm here, and that means that the Terran army could actually strike. PartinG, though, does still have another High Templar a little bit further out as well. That one was actually hiding in the bush, and a couple more are now also floating forward. There's one right here that's actually completely by itself. It's mostly just a lucky High Templar. That's when you know you're in a bit of a desperate moment, though. Immediately, though, at the same time, the Stalkers also move through those zones. But those liberation zones do not mess around. Slowly but surely, GuMiho moving forward. While Protoss has been sharking around the map for a really long time, GuMiho has been sitting back. He's been safely and securely macroing his way out of there. Look at this. How conservative is it? I would have unseated everything and just told them all to go. Stim, 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 go. Stop messing around. But no, he's just taking control of the map one step at a time. Sending a small hit squad right here on the right-hand side as well. A couple of Zealots will be intercepted just like that. There is a Dark Templar available. Scan immediately goes down as well. GuMiho, you're so freaking good. Apparently, though, this is the moment when PartinG has been waiting for. He decides to strike right here, right now. Good storms do land on the majority of that bio army. The Colossi actually zap it away for a really long time as well, but there's not that many Stalkers available anymore. And still, those Liberators on the high ground are absolutely phenomenal. Marines and Marauders do get picked off. Zealots do warp in. And that means only 2 probes go down in total. PartinG still has a good economy. He just doesn't have a lot of time right now. Finally, right now, switches over to the Fleet Beacon. He obviously needs the Fleet Beacon right here. Well, I mean, I say he needs it. I was going to say Tempest would be extremely helpful. If we would get the Tempest out right here, it would make it much easier for him to get rid of those Liberators. Apparently, though, GuMiho not too worried about that right now. Just decides to go back to Marines, Marauders, and Medivacs. That means to me, at the very least, that he's smelling blood in the water. He needs a couple more Medivacs to try and see if he can heal up this bio army. That's 3 Colossi, though. That's a lot of Protoss. This Terran army is so vulnerable. It's got all like 2 hit points each. Great splitting right there. GuMiho is stimming forward. Once again, trying to see if he can get those Colossi for free. Maybe a bit of an overextension right there by the South Korean Terran player. But he does try and see if he can get that base. There's a lot of reinforcements coming, bro. Yeah, no, I think it's going to be okay. I think that PartinG is going to be alright here for the time being. First Tempest now also coming up. Tempest can obviously... Like, Tempest have the advantage of just continuously laying down the pressure. And that's what usually strikes Terran players really hard, right? Like, they're slow pushing forward. They're trying to inch their way towards the Protoss, trying to push them up with their back against the wall. But then you take that damage all the time. Still, though, this base right over here, by the way, absolutely critical. Main base natural or run out. Just target fire it down. Yeah, just right-click. There you go. Nexus falls. And once again, PartinG does get out-angled here. Man. GuMiho right now even feeling ballsy enough to take this base in the center. There is an observer right on that location. But you know what? If a planetary fortress is right up there, that's a beautiful staging ground. First Tempest, though, is out. He's going to start laying down the law on some of those liberators. And it's nice. It is going to force the Terran army to go back home, it feels like. But, I mean, I'm looking at this economy right now. I count 4 bases here for Protoss with really only 1 and maybe a half one over here mining. Whereas Terran is happily sitting on a lot of bases and now securing one of the strongest staging grounds in the game. You know how in chess, the center squares are the most valuable real estate? That goes for StarCraft 2 as well in a lot of ways. Being able to have a planetary fortress right in the center of the map to fall back to, extremely potent. Not only is it going to provide him additional mining, it gives him high ground advantage right over here. And it makes it very difficult for the Protoss player to get back into this. PartinG, though, does still have a lot of splash damage in his army. He's got a couple high Templar. Good storms do go down. Those Colossi actually don't mess around either. Prism does get picked off. Tempest from a distance, nibbling away at all of those Terran units. But sometimes StarCraft is just a numbers game. And I wonder if that's not simply the advantage that GuMiho has right now. He's just simply got so much stuff. I mean, yeah, we can get fancy about unit micro and splash damage and, you know, counters and all that. But sometimes more stuff beats less stuff. Just getting more stuff is oftentimes not bad advice. And here we go. The Marines Marauders are feeling brave enough. They're stimming forward. They're sacrificing their lives. All of the Colossi get picked off. And GuMiho obtains the victory in a very well-fought game. I hope you enjoyed watching this. This is the kind of StarCraft that I really like myself. 2 different players, 2 different playstyles clashing. And GuMiho, the one being a lot more conservative, the one being very safe and sound, just simply ends up winning the game in the long run. Recognizes the style that PartinG wants to play. I mean, he's been playing that style for many years. He just defended, then eventually struck when the time was right. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. If you want to support me directly, check out my Patreon page. But for now, I hope you have an amazing rest of your weekend. Do not forget to smile. And I'll see you once again on the Monday for another video.